Now normally when I've compiled and built programs in this course, I've just done so from the IDE that I'm using, which is CodeLight. For a change, I want to look at how you do it from the command line, and also that should show you a little bit more about how the compiler works. So this is my program. It's 05_scope. I've got the main.c main file, which includes the stdio.h header file, which is one of the system header files that includes, amongst other things, the printf definition, and printf, of course, I use in this project. And I've also included mystring.h, and that's this header file. This is a header file I've written, which defines a constant, and it also defines, in this case, the readlin function, which is in mystring.c, and it defines the find substring function, which is in mystring_utils.c. Now, what happens if I don't include these header files? I just comment them out in main. Let me show you first of all, this is the directory that contains the source code files, and when I compile it, it will also contain some other compiled files. So I'm going into the command prompt. This is in the directory itself that contains all these files, and this is my command line. GCC is the compiler. That will start the compilation and linking procedure. And then after that, I put in the names of the files that I want to be compiled. So that's main.c, mystring.c, and mystringutils.c. And then there are some extra arguments at the end to output the object files to myprog.exe is the program file that's going to be run. And I've also put save temps at the end to save the temporary files so that we can see exactly what's been built. Let me give you a quick tip here. If you want to use your compiler, I'm assuming you're using GCC as I am, and you're not familiar with all the arguments, all the options you can pass to the compiler, well, there's a command that will show you what they are. And what you do is you go into the command prompt, you enter GCC, and then 2 hyphens, followed by help, enter, and that shows you quick help on all the various options that you can pass to the compiler. So let's try it. Right away there's an error. So max strlen is undeclared here. It's not in the function, that's in main.c. That's because that constant was declared in mystring.h, but I've not now included that. So I'm going to get around that for now, just to see what the results are by copying this constant back into main.c. Try compiling again. Okay, so this time I no longer have that error. I've got a number of warnings about incompatible declaration of built-in function printf and various other warnings of that sort. So, but has it actually compiled and built my program? Let's have a look. This is back in the directory. You can see that there are a number of files here. So I've got myprog.exe. So can I run this? Let's try it. Myprog. Oh, it's starting. So even though I've had warnings, it's allowed me to build and compile the program. Let me have a look now at some of the files it's generated. Now these are files that you wouldn't normally use. They're created by the compiler, and they include things such as these intermediate files, and these are text files, and they include all sorts of different commands that you don't really need to know about, plus my actual code. So this is an intermediate file which is used prior to the creation of the object file, and the object file is these files ending with .o, and these contain non-readable data. So this is an object format, and that's one of the files that will eventually be put together by the linker to create the executable file, which in Windows would be called myprog.exe. So even though I haven't included the header files, I've commented them out, I've still been able to compile and link the program. So the header files do not exclude the functions that I need as long as I've compiled them in. And remember, I did compile them in by specifying the files to be included, the C files, on the command line to the GCC compiler. So those files have been compiled and linked together, but to remind you, I was still getting warnings. And that's because, as I've explained elsewhere, the header file not being included does not provide the compiler with all the information that would normally allow it to type check the parameters and so on. So let me now return my program to its original form. I'll get rid of that constant because I'm going to include my string.h, which includes that constant definition. I'm also going to include stdio.h, which is the system file, which includes the definition of printf. And try compiling again with exactly the same arguments. And this time, the compilation and the linking proceeds without any errors or any warnings at all. And once again, my program is available to be run. So that gives you a quick overview of what goes on behind the scenes. The compiler runs, creates intermediate files. It's the intermediate object files which are put together by the linker, and the header files provide access to more information so that it can check that all the data types and so on are correct, and all the various elements, all the separately compiled object files created by the compiler all agree that they are using the same functions with the same arguments and return types as declared in the header file.